Can you imagine a 7-day race where you are running every single day for 7 days, all day long, 155 miles, 250 kilometers? I know I cannot imagine enjoying that, but somehow today's guest, Manika Gamble, does. She is an ultramarathoner. This is how our conversation went.
Not even a few minutes into the race, like on day one, it was a 7-day race. And so day one, I was thinking to myself, like, what did I do? Yeah, it was tough. And so got through that race, and maybe I told myself the entire race I would never do anything like that ever again. I told myself, like, don't do this to yourself ever again. Like, you got through it, be done. And not even maybe 2 days after the race, I was like, I have to do this again.
Okay, wait, hey guys, we gotta go back just for a second.
Welcome to Loving Kindness Every Day, where you will hear everyday language such as 4-letter, 5-letter, or words that your mother might call profanity. Please be advised.
But, it was funny because I was out the other day and you came up, it's sort of like the text message you sent me. You're like, hey, are you on Instagram or whatever? Somebody was like, oh, are you on Instagram? And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. And they pulled up, and I guess you know how it does like the mutual friends thing or whatever. Mm-hmm. They're like, oh, you know her, da da da, she's awesome, this is going on. It was like a 5-minute conversation about how great you were. I promise you. She does this and she does that, and don't you know she's doing this, that, and the next thing. And I was just like, okay.
Oh, wow.
That's why I texted you the next morning. I was like, apparently the spirit needed to give you some sort of like you need to hear your stuff is working. Whatever you're doing, you tell me what you're doing. I know I'll be on the internet, but I don't be like looking at it really. Yeah, sometimes I just try to give people love. I'm like, I know that's what you want.
I get it. Well, thank you for telling me that. It's always nice to hear, and honestly, I don't hear it much, but it's nice to hear it when I hear it.
Yeah. Okay, I'll give it to you then. So if you don't hear it much, the people love you. They think that you're great. You're an inspiration. Talked about the Mongolia trip. Been following her since before that. She's amazing. I was like, okay. I was like, I get it. A very enthusiastic fandom for you. Yeah, people are just like, yeah, and I said, I was like, man, I've seen her running before. I told you before, I seen you running with your book bag and everything. I was down there yesterday. I usually don't run on the treadmill much, so it was interesting. Like it's probably been like weeks since I usually do a lot of rowing.
Yeah.
But I was like, I was feeling you in my spirit, and then I had texted you obviously in the morning just to be like, hey, what's up or whatever. But there you go, texting me while I was literally running, and I was kind of thinking like, what was it that made you feel like you gotta do this? Like a lot. What is it?
For me, I still can't pinpoint what made me just sign up for this. Okay. But I saw it on YouTube, and it looked really cool, and I had never, had any kind of desire to do ultra marathons. I was a track athlete, and so like long distance running was like punishment. Like my workouts were like sprints on the track, 400 meters max. But after graduating and just doing some 5Ks, 10Ks, they were comfortable, it felt good. And so I don't know, I guess I'm kind of like the go big or go home type.
Okay.
So I was just like, the 50K with a little over marathon distance. I mean, it didn't excite me the way just going 155 miles did. So I just decided,
Is it the punishment? You're like, I wanted to go for it. I wasn't excited enough by that one. I had to go hardcore. All right, yeah. I love that. Okay, so it was like, what was it like the first time that you did it?
Okay, so the first race in Namibia, I got blisters on my feet on day one. So it was a beautiful experience in that Namibia, like it felt like home. The locals were just amazing. The race organization was amazing, but the race for me was miserable because I was in so much pain. And so, thankfully the pain, you forget about that, and then the good memories last.
Was it like your knees, or what was the pain like? What was like
the soles of my feet blistered.
Oh, from the blisters.
And so once that happens, there's just kind of no the doctors on the course would burst them for me, And so that would give some relief for like maybe a few minutes, and then they would swell back up, and then just imagine running on like boils on the soles of your feet. It was bad.
Okay. But this is because this was for fun.
It was for fun. And I can't say I did have fun, but that
okay, that was for fun. Okay.
It started off being for fun, and then it became like, and other competitors said the same thing. The race was so hard. It was 130 degrees plus. We were in deep, soft sand almost the entire time. So it almost became like we were at war. And so it felt like we were just like battling through.
That makes sense.
But
when I saw you for the first time on the treadmill, I did think you were in the military. When you said the war thing, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. I see you with the bag. I thought you were like, I literally thought you were like in the army. And you were like doing like I was like, they're serious these days. Like they're really serious these days. I was like, she's getting ready for drill. Like what's going on? Like for real.
Yeah, it felt like that at the very beginning. Not even a few minutes into the race, like on day one, it was a 7-day race, and so day one, I was thinking to myself like, what did I do?
Okay, fair enough, exactly.
Because I did all this training for months, and I just, for some reason, just did not expect it to be that hard.
Okay. So then,
and so, thankfully, other people were also, not thankfully, but everyone else was also struggling. So I didn't feel like, oh, you're just so ill prepared. So I mean, it was a hard race. About 20 something people out of the 120 that started dropped out. It was tough, and so got through that race, and maybe I told myself the entire race I would never do anything like that ever again. I told myself like, don't do this to yourself ever again. Like, you got through it, be done. And not even maybe 2 days after the race, I was like, I have to do this again.
Okay, wait, hey guys, we gotta go back just for a second. All right, so when you're in this moment, it's the first day, really tough, got it, right? You're looking around, you're like, okay, well, it's not me, it's not me. Everyone else is also having a really hard time, right?
Yeah.
So now you have to day 2, now you have to dig in mentally. Mm-hmm. So where because I feel like this has to be some sort of is this like a spiritual practice? Like I feel like you have to, at some point in this thing, you have to go to that place where I notice that I do it on the treadmill, and I'm only on there for nothing. But I do this thing in my mind where I have to go to this, I don't know how to describe it, but I'm sure you probably know it as a runner. I have to go to this place where it's just I just feel like I'm rhythm. I'm like, boom, 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 boom. I'm just body. I'm not thinking. I just go into my body. And I imagine this must be something that you are very familiar with.
For me, I tried it because my, my dad and my stepdad were both in the military. And so they were telling me about I guess they call them humps, that they would go on with these long runs with 70-pound backpacks, and they said they would chant and they would march and do 1, 2, 1. And I tried it for 5 minutes, and it just didn't work for me.
To get into the cadence, is that what you mean?
Yeah, the cadence, that just didn't work.
I see. Interesting. I was in the military, and so maybe I do that. That's why I said I saw you, and I was like, we're going back. Okay, is that a military thing? Interesting. I didn't realize that. Okay.
Maybe.
So what are you doing? How do you get? Are you just like Manika the whole time, thinking through your thoughts and everything? You're in your body the whole time?
I am, and I think sometimes that's what makes it a little bit harder, because I don't listen to music. I'm not thinking this rhythmic thing while I'm going. Sometimes, for my first race in Namibia, I was thinking just how much pain I was in. That's the entire race. That's all I thought about. There was nothing else I could think about. Once those blisters started, my mind couldn't go anywhere else.
Are you literally so you're for 3-4 days going, oh, this hurts so much. Oh, this hurts so much. And you run?
7 days of that.
What the heck? Okay.
Yeah. And of course I cried and I had my meltdowns, my breakdowns, but I told myself, one, the race was just too expensive to drop out.
Okay.
I'm way over here in Africa. I'm not about to just throw all this away for all this hard work I've done. So get through these days of pain and you'll be happy you didn't quit.
I see. Okay. So it's you're investing in yourself.
Yeah, and also I didn't want to disappoint, all the people who were watching. I had, people all over the world like cheering me on, and then they would send me emails, and so I would get into camp. As I was thinking, like, I cannot do this anymore, I would get into camp for the evening, and I would be out on the course probably like 8, 9, 10 hours, and I was like, just like, and then I would read my emails. People from Russia and Australia and all these places are like rooting for me, and it's just like, oh goodness, I can't.
I can't tell you now. I just stopped. Okay. That's fair enough. Okay, so is it like for the people? You think? I guess this whole time I'm racking my brain. I'm trying to figure out why you do this. I don't know. Can you tell? I have an agenda. I'm like, why are we doing this?
I question myself all the time why, and I would say a small portion is for people, but also the larger part is for myself.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, I do know I will be I guess once I commit to doing the race, like that becomes for me, like I want to finish it. I'll be very disappointed in myself if I don't finish. Now, as to why do I continually sign up for these races, that I haven't quite figured out. It's a very weird sport, I think. It's like until you do it, I guess it's just difficult to, and as a military person, you would probably understand like the appeal of going through pain and then having like the glory after, maybe.
I'm not gonna touch that with this football right now. Okay. I'm just gonna let that go for right now. But I feel like okay. I think it resonates with me in the sense of like, I sometimes think about this room. Like right now for me it's comfortable, but I wouldn't realize that it's comfortable had I not been here when like the air conditioning is blasting right onto me, right? And so it's like that pain, pleasure sort of situation. I think that's what it is. Is that a little bit?
I think that is for me, the case, because I guess I can appreciate things, but I think going through that struggle, it makes me appreciate things even more. So like going through all that pain and just going through like just the struggle of it all, and then having like coming back to like luxury and comfortable, and so it makes you kind of like appreciate things, like a little reality appreciation check-in type.
I do understand that. I can. It does resonate with me, that especially when you compare it to the military thing. I guess, is it like, do you have any sort of spiritual practice? Is there any sort of like higher power you're like tapping into about all of this? Or do you?
Well, I am a religious person. I wouldn't say I'm a religious person.
I was gonna say, was that me? Do you?
Well, I'm one of Jehovah's Witnesses.
Oh, interesting.
Okay. And so there's that, but I wouldn't say like I'm praying to get through it. I really I don't connect the two. And so I don't know, maybe I should, maybe I probably won't struggle as bad as I do, but I don't connect them.
Do you feel comfortable discussing religion?
Yeah.
Can you talk to me about being a Jehovah's Witness and the appeal to you, and why you identify that way, and what that means to you? I will say I've been actually really wanting to talk to a Jehovah's Witness.
Really?
I really have. Because I don't understand it.
Okay.
And I'd like to understand more.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that, and I don't mean to be cheeky, but I know that you guys are really happy to talk about it usually. Just not what I feel about that.
That's hilarious. I'm definitely always open. I'm a very open, person. Any questions you have, and I do understand there's a lot of misconceptions, and there's also a lot of like misunderstandings, and so I'm always happy to clarify or to just discuss whatever.
Sure. Like, why do you do it? Is my thing. Like, my first thing is like, what is it like? Because you started with it like, I'm a very religious person, then you clarify and you're like, well, let me step back or whatever, but you still started with like you were like, I'm really into this.
Yeah.
Why?
And I don't know why, because I really wouldn't consider myself a religious person. I'm more of a spiritually conscious person, I guess you would say.
Okay, fair enough, I understand.
And as far as being a Jehovah's Witness, my parents became Jehovah's Witnesses when they were in their 30s. My mom, she was raised like not a religious person at all. My dad was heavy into the church. I think he was a Baptist or Methodist or something like that. And so when they both started studying to become Jehovah's Witnesses, I was born, and that's what I was raised as.
Got it.
And I've had my, I've we're always encouraged to search and kind of see and test that it's true for us.
Okay.
And I really just like the guidelines that we live by, as far as, I mean, it's just, I guess it's a safety precaution, a safety measure, in that, you know, you don't steal, you don't do, you know, just being a good person.
Okay.
I would say. And for me, that's just kind of what I live by. I said if I wasn't a Jehovah's Witness, I probably would be an atheist.
Interesting. I love that you brought that up. You're like, if I didn't do this, I would do nothing at all. And I think there was nothing at all.
And I think that's kind of how I am, because I'm just really kind of like a very chill, laid back person. I don't do too much of the thinking too deeper into things. And so I would just be chilling.
Just be like, if it wasn't for this, I just don't think about it at all.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Is it like, is it a motivating factor for you? I guess it's like, do you feel like, I guess no, because you kind of said, you're like, maybe if I wouldn't, it would be easier for me. Like, what is it? I guess my thing is this, like, do you go to Kingdom Hall? Are you like a regular?
I am. I could do better, I would say that.
Oh, we could all do better.
Yeah.
I mean, you could go to the gym more, but like, come on.
But I am regular, and I do say, like, there are some who are more like devout, and they're more like, you know, talking their head off, and everyone would already know I'm a Jehovah's Witness. Like, there are more people like that, and I'm just more like the laid back type. I do go out in the, you know, ministry, and I preach. But I could probably be a more, I guess, devout Jehovah's Witness.
If you were to preach to me, what would your preaching look like? Like, what is it that, I guess that's what I'm confused as to, like, I was raised in the church.
Okay.
And so I have a lot of Christian background and understanding. Mm-hmm. I speak Christian real well, and I understand that a lot. Mm-hmm. What I don't understand is the 144,000 thing, the Jehovah's Witness thing. I'm going to be a little cheeky again and say, like, I don't get it. If there's 144,000, why are you guys telling everybody about it? I don't understand. I don't understand it. I don't understand.
Well, see, for me, and that's one of the things, like, I'm not a huge reader.
Okay.
And so I wish I was. I really wish I loved to read. And so as far as studying and doing that deeper research, I could do a lot better with that. But some of the things that I can say for myself that has been able to resonate with me, as far as 144,000 and Paradise Earth and all of that, and the different numbers and how the numbers are gotten to, for me, I wouldn't want to go to heaven. Like, I would actually prefer if, like Adam and Eve, they lived on the earth in a paradise. They were perfect.
Okay.
And the only reason why that this earth is not a paradise, and it's not what God intended it to be, is because Adam and Eve sinned. And so if that sin never happened, what would this earth be? It'd be a paradise earth with perfect people. And so Adam and Eve didn't, in our belief, basically cancel God's plan. Like, that's still the plan. But now we're just getting back around to what that plan, or it's not even a plan, it's a purpose, and what that purpose was for the earth. And so because of the disobedience, the 144,000 basically are people here on the earth who've lived the life that we live. So they know what it's like to be imperfect people. They know what it's like to have to sin and go through all the struggles that we go through. So they are the ones who will basically help reign and rule with Jesus and be able to judge those on the earth to say, okay, this person, they deserve that chance to come back to the paradise earth and to live forever.
Like judges. There's almost like 144,000 judges as opposed to 144,000 people that get to actually come.
Right, judges.
Oh. See, I never understood that. That makes more sense. Because I was just like, why are they telling everybody about this?
It's not like it's some kind of special.
It sounds like a secret. Like, they shouldn't tell everyone. That makes more sense now you explain that. It's more like the people who have, dare I say, like, gone through the spiritual work and done the purification process of the heart that are like, hey, Jesus, we're helping you out.
Yeah, because they know. They've lived it.
I hear that.
And so, of course, Jesus, I'm not sure if you believe he, of course, came to the earth, but he came to the earth as a perfect man.
Okay.
And so he has not had to experience the struggles that we've had to experience. And these 144,000 people, they have. And so they'll be able to rule and help those, you know, who are hoping to.
So, okay, I didn't know that that's what y'all believed about Jesus. So that's interesting. Okay, so you feel like it was too easy for Jesus. A little bit. Like, that's kind of like, because he was perfect, and like, they're not, and so like they understand the struggles while Jesus was just kind of like, sure, water, wine, we're chilling, that kind of thing. Well, a little bit. I know I'm overgeneralizing it, but like if I'm just trying to get my head around it a little bit.
I guess if that's an easier way for you to understand it, yes. But of course, we do believe he struggled.
Okay. Like the cross, the crucifixion, that mean?
Yeah, like he died and he went through pain and he felt what we feel, but not to the extent of what we're going through these days. Like, they see it, they look down and they see it, and I'm sure they can understand, but to actually go through it, it wouldn't be the same as the ones who were going to judge.
You mean like, what do you mean by these days? Like, it wasn't the same as like these days?
Well, of course, what was that, 2,000 some years ago? We're much further now from perfection, from like times now are just like we are living in the last days.
Okay.
In which like, do you believe in like the end coming or any kind of like transition or any kind of change?
Oh, you're asking me about my beliefs now.
I guess it's easier to speak if I know what, I guess.
I mean, I have an understanding. Okay, I won't speak on my beliefs because I don't want to load it with how I feel, because that's the whole thing. I will answer any questions you have about my beliefs. It's not that. It's just I don't want to answer you and then that's a whole thing.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? So I will say to you, I am very familiar with like Revelations and like the end times Daniel, the prophet Daniel, and like, you know, the end time situation.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm familiar. Mm-hmm. So like if you touch on it, I'm not going to be lost.
Okay.
But also context.
Got it.
Also helps.
Okay. So as far as it being the times we live in now, are different than any of the times that, I mean, the Bible speaks about, you know, the earthquakes and the pestilence and all the stuff that we're experiencing now is much different than what people were experiencing 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago. And so Jesus, when he came thousands of years ago, it is much different than, of course, there was the badness and all that. He was, you know, atoning for the sins to be able to give us a second chance. But like I said, the 144,000, the ones who will rule, have been more, and there will be people from thousands of years ago who are a part of 144,000, and also ones now who are part of it. And so it's a collective group of people who will come, and there's only a few left on the earth who are a part of that number for Jehovah's Witnesses.
I kind of get it now, to be honest with you. I thank you so much for explaining that to me. It makes a lot more sense.
Really?
Yeah. That, because I guess for walking in the door today, you know, I obviously didn't know you were Jehovah's Witness, but I would have, my preconceived notion about the whole thing was, like, again, like, I was like, this doesn't make sense. Every time I see, like, you know, like, people on the street, you know, you see the JW.org, they be trying to talk to you, mm-hmm. I would just like, I'd be like, I don't, why are you telling everyone? I was just like, stop telling people about this. This doesn't seem like a good idea for y'all. But like, it makes sense now when you say it, like, for me, I have a more, like, going back to, like, you know, beliefs, I suppose, like, I have more of a universal spiritual consciousness where I see it as like, oh, okay, I'm not one of these people that, like, feels the need to argue religion, where it's like, oh, this is true and that's not true, or this makes more truth. I mean, this is another way of looking at it, and this way also makes sense. Mm-hmm. And if it gives you peace, and I love how you said, like, you're like, whoa, I feel that the rules help me to live and be, like, a good person, or mm-hmm. like, just to kind of, like, you know, don't steal or do whatever, like, you know, just kind of, like, I guess that, like, conscience on the back of your mind to be like, hey, Manika, come on, like, don't be an asshole, mm-hmm. or whatever, you know. But, like, sure, that's positive, and I'm about positive spiritual change in people's lives, as opposed to the arguing, because the arguing back and forth about whose version of Jesus is better or whatever, I can't get into that too much.
Yeah.
But it does happen a lot. I mean, like, I don't know how y'all feel about sexuality. Mm-hmm. That's a big conversation in the Christian church, the sexual thing. Mm-hmm.
where are y'all at? Or I shouldn't say y'all, because I know you can't speak for everybody, but like, what is your understanding of like the church and that whole thing?
Well, of course, the times that we're in now, it's more, I would say, of course, homosexuality, according to the Bible and according to what Jehovah's Witnesses believe, is not accepted. And you coming from a Christian background, I'm sure that would be, but there are some churches now who are transitioning into accepting that. But Jehovah's Witnesses, that's still not accepted.
Not one of the 144,000. Just not y'all. We're gonna do Paradise Earth just with heterosexuals. Got it.
Well, and it's one of those things where it's difficult for me to, because I know that there are witnesses who battle with that exact wanting to be Jehovah's Witnesses, but then also having the tendency to lean towards a homosexual desire. And so that's a conflict that I think a lot of witnesses do deal with.
Wow, that's the way you said it too. You're like a tendency to lean towards homosexual desire. Yeah, okay, I hear that. I hear that. I can hear it. I've heard this. This is interesting. So, okay. So then how do y'all reconcile God with that? Like, how can you reconcile God being perfect and you being given this desire, not you specifically, but like someone. So like you say there's X person over here. X person has this desire for another X and they should only like Y. So we do like the whole genetic thing, right? So like, why did God allow that in y'all's understanding?
I haven't ever had this conversation honestly with, like, just out loud, I guess. I haven't, but I would say the same way there are, and I guess I'm trying to say it like in a more...
You ain't gotta shake it. So this is loving kindness every day, and that every day is one word. It means basic, everyday language, everyday conversations. We're doing it. We are not PC on here. We are a lot of non-PC things. I've said them. So I'm just being honest with you. Say it however you want to say it. It's up to you. You feel comfortable speaking however you want to speak.
No, honestly, I guess I didn't even like really prepare anything to say in regards to this.
And you also don't have to answer the question. Also feel that way. I just want you to know. You don't, just because I asked the question doesn't mean you have to answer it.
No, okay.
As well. Just so that you know. Because it's like, maybe you don't have an answer for that, and that's cool.
I think there are a lot of things that people go through that necessarily aren't, I don't know, I don't have an answer for that right now.
It's alright, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
It's a thing, that's why I said, it's like, in the Christian church, it's a thing that there's a lot of arguments about, and it is something that I have been very educated on, inside of Christianity, but not, on the other side. That's what I said, I'm kind of excited. I said, I do want to talk to some Jehovah's Witnesses. Maybe now people will be like, I'll talk to you! I'm ready for it. Let's go. I'm really interested just to understand how, I do like understanding religions and like the motivating factors for people. Because I noticed that as groups of people, like humans, like something inside of us makes us all go to that. There's something that inside of your father that obviously led, because if your mom, like I shouldn't assume. I was making an assumption that your father was the one who led, the couple to the church, because you said he was raised kind of more in the church, and then they started doing the Jehovah's Witnesses together. But whatever they decided as a couple, they decided that they needed this, or there was something missing in their life, that they wanted to go to Kingdom Hall. There was something that someone said to them that they were like, yeah, this gives me peace, or unity, or community. I was talking to somebody this morning, going to get my coffee before I came here. And they were saying to me that that they were throwing a wedding, and that their wedding reception was for, it's not Dungeons and Dragons, magic, some sort of those magic card games that the people play, whatever. And I was like, oh, I've never played that before. And she was saying to me, oh, when I first moved to Atlanta, I started playing it, and that's how I met all my friends. And I was like, oh, that's like your community. And she was like, yeah. I was like, that's
really what's up, because like community is important. I think that it's like sometimes we all have those moments, you know, where you get like really low and you need your people to bring you out, you know. And so I suppose like I'm always interested, going back to religion, I find that sometimes when I talk to people, like that is their community. Like, would you say that like the Kingdom Hall, because you said you go regularly, like those are your people, like when you have a hard time, like, man, my feet were blessed out. And like, come on girl, we got you, you know, like we know, we gonna pray for you, put the oil on. I don't know what y'all do, but you know what I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah, I would definitely say that's my community of people, and it's not just at this particular Kingdom Hall, but I have friends in all different states, and we all, you know, get together. I do an annual cabin trip. I've done it for the last 15 years, and about 40 of us get together. I mean, it's definitely, and the Kingdom Hall that I'm in now, it's actually in Decatur, and I have maybe, you know, of course we're all a congregation, but I have maybe 2 close friends in that hall, and then I have, you know, friends from different places, and we all, I would say, stick together.
Yeah, exactly. So that's like,
but yeah.
So let me ask you. I won't keep you too long, but okay. I will ask you. Do you have anything like? Obviously, I've been asking you questions. Like, do you have anything that you want to say, or any questions that you want to ask? Or I always like to open the floor to not just me, you know, like leading the conversation. Like, do you have any anything or nothing at all? That's fine. That you want to say or ask, or just
ask you specifically?
Well, I can. I think I'm the person here with you, so I suppose it could be me.
I'm totally asking in regard to,
just anything. I just want to open the floor to be like, hey, I don't want to lead the conversation. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you have anything, sometimes people have like, hey, I've been lately really passionate about the following, and I just want to tell everybody X, Y, and Z. I'm like, okay, say what you're gonna say. Or some people, like, sometimes they just have questions for me, or just that they want to ask me, what do you think about the following? Like, anything at all, or nothing at all.
Okay. I do have a question, because of the topic of the religion and all of that. I would love to know, I know you said you didn't want to go off onto a tangent.
Well, I will answer you, for sure. That's it too. Yeah, what do you want to know? I'm honestly very excited to talk about it. I'll talk about everything. I'm a very open book. So you
so what are your thoughts? What are your views?
Let's be very, because I could talk for a long time.
Okay, so what are your views on the homosexual aspect of...
Oh, I love that. So, the homosexual aspect. Now, okay, I'm going to try and like answer that question like a beach and not go really deep with you too soon with that answer, just because I want to answer it as best I can for you. So the way that I see it is that a lot of people don't understand the book they're reading. So I'll start with that. The Bible doesn't condemn homosexuality. Your preachers and your pastors and people who give you an understanding of the book that you don't understand are giving you that impression. Okay. When you read the book, you will each time notice that it's actually talking about temple prostitution, idol worship. Most of those 2 things, really. It's really actually about a condemnation of people who at the time, a lot of those men weren't even gay. They're not gay dudes. What's happening is witchcraft, truly. You have in Leviticus, for example, you've heard, don't have sex with a man as you do with a woman, it's an abomination, blah, blah, blah. But what's that word abomination mean? We don't know, it's America, we know it means gay. No, it doesn't. It actually means something that's despicable, throw it out of my mouth to God, because you're worshiping other idols. And when you look just, maybe I think, is it 2 verses before that, there's a proclamation against passing your children over the fire in worship to Moloch. And what we see in that culture was that people were doing fertility, basically idol worship and fertility witchcraft, where they were literally doing human sacrifice, passing their children over the fire, which literally means putting you put your firstborn kid into the fire, and then as a man, you enter another man and you steal his seed, and then you take that seed and you make a really big great family. And it's witchcraft. And it's disgusting, and they're not loving homosexual people together. It's sexual dominance and it's witchcraft, really, in Leviticus. And you'll see it in Genesis, where you've heard Sodom and Gomorrah, that whole story, but I promise you, Manika, you've never read that story, and if you do read it, you're going to realize it's gang rape. That's what we're talking about. And I'll tell you the story if, like I said, I'm trying to not go really deep into it with you. I don't want to like bore you, but like
No, this is interesting.
So I literally did this. I had this conversation with somebody recently, actually, when I was in Miami. I recorded it, and I suppose we could I'll throw it in here now. Boom, here it goes.
What you talking about? Can you talk proper?
Talk to me?
You talking about being gay or gay shit? You talking about gay shit?
Yeah, like what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Break it down. You talking about being gay, speaking in
Yes,
tongues?
being gay. My dad tell my dad yeah, I've been going to church, and by the way, it's been a gay church.
We're not a gay church. We are a Jesus Christ church.
Yeah, you're a Jesus Christ church, but on the outside, and then that's what it's forsaken to be. You get what I'm saying? So like, even when I told him, because even when I told him he was like a woman, my dad, and I didn't even told him, but he was like a woman. He was like, women don't preach in them. And then Jesus, and I was just like, yeah.
Your dad is old school.
But you are. That's what I said. So it's like I'm not even gonna tell her that. But like even my child's father, he was like, oh, like.
So that's why you need to you see you're the kind of person who actually needs
That conversation I had with these chicks in Miami was wild. I actually do not have the time to unpack this whole thing with you guys right now. So I'm gonna go back to Manika and what I said to her.
But it was just like I spoke to this woman who was a pastor's daughter, and also having a lesbian relationship with someone that I knew, and was basically like talking about how they went to this church, and the church was gay affirming, and they'd never been to a gay affirming church before, and they also never felt what she described as like the spirit. Like she felt something. She was just like, I can't understand why I went to my dad's church my whole life, and I was told X, Y, and Z, and they go to this church with these people who my dad wouldn't understand, and I feel something. And I was like, is it you're concerned about your dad or God? Like, which one is the issue with you, whatever. And so then we started going like, I said, well, do you want to pull out your Bible? Let's start having conversations about the Bible, because I'll do this with you all day. I said, read the scripture. And so we were literally reading scripture. Here we are, literally reading scripture in the living room. I said, pull out Genesis 19, let's do it from the top. We're going to read the whole thing in context. So we read it, and what you get is, if you go back to Genesis 18, you get this conversation between Abraham, I don't know if you just know the story of Abraham and Lot. Mm-hmm. So Lot, this is the same Lot from Sodom and Gomorrah, so we have Abraham and Lot. They're so great, they're so big, they separate their properties, right? Too big to fail or whatever. So we're going to separate our properties. Abraham says, cousin, you choose what you want, I'll take what you don't want. Cousin chooses the nicest place. Sodom and Gomorrah is like, I don't know, Miami, Fort Lauderdale. Like, they're the nice place. I'm going to choose the nice ones. Those are mine. You could take the rest of Florida. Mm-hmm. All right, fine, sure. Okay. So then God goes to Abraham and he's like, the outcry from your cousin's places are so bad, I'm going to go and destroy it. Because it's so bad out there. Y'all are actually acting wild. I don't know, God's like, it's actually driving me nuts having to listen to y'all prayers all night. I'm just gonna wipe all y'all out because it's boring me. It's basically like, I'm being overly generalized, but that's the sentiment that you get. God's like, we're done. FYI. So then Abraham has this conversation. He's like, God, hey, so how do you feel about 100 people? Do you really think that you should kill everyone if there's like 100 good people? Mm-hmm. All right, Abraham, fine. I got you. 100 people. I'm going to send some recruits down there. We're going to send some scouts out. We're going to look for 100 people, and we got you. No problem. Abraham's like, cool. All right. So, God. The thing is, I was thinking, how do you feel about 90 people? Because you're going to kill, and so we do this whole conversation. We go all the way down to 10. Mm-hmm. We do literally the whole thing in the Bible. He said, and 80. And what about 70, God? It was literally the whole thing in the Bible. That's how we go. So we get down to 10. Fine. I got you. I ain't going to do it over 10 people. Cool. All right. Bet. Sends the angels. The angels get down to the town square. Lot sees them. And now, how can I set the scene for this? What we have is a culture where people were supposed to be maybe, I haven't been to Africa or these kind of countries that you're running in, but maybe you've experienced these cultures where people are a little bit more open and they're like, oh, you're a stranger and you're in my place and you're just staying for a couple of days. Come stay in my house. I'm gonna take care of you. We'll feed you. We'll send you on your way. You know, you can tell everybody, you can write us a postcard and tell everybody how great it is. They're not asking you for anything. It's just, they're just being lovely because they're people and you're human and you're having that experience, right? That's what's supposed to happen in Sodom and Gomorrah. But the culture there is very aggressive and they do not like foreigners. And so Lot doesn't know they're angels and he just thinks they're guys. And he's like, hey, you know, come to my house. Please don't sleep in the town square. Come to my house, I'll put you up for the night, da-da-da. He does. The people in the town see him, and what the Bible says is all of the men from the town gathered at Lot's house and said, bring out the men who are in the house with you so that we can have sex with them. That's what your NIV version will say. If you look at other versions, you might see so we can abuse them. You might see so that we can use them. The Hebrew word is very clear, like we are having sex with them. This is sex that we're choosing to have with these people that, you know, are behind your door. Lot says, please, please, don't do this thing. Instead, how about this? I got 2 virgin daughters. They're mine. Y'all take them. You can rape them and do whatever you want with them. But please don't take these guys. They're my guests for the night. And they're like, no. Fuck your daughters. We want them guys. Give us them. So then there's this whole scene where the angels are like, step back, Lot, and they pull the thing out, they blind the guys, and then Lot and his daughters escape. Well, the wife looks back, she gets turned into the pillar of salt. Him and the daughters escape. Then we get a lovely little scene at the end where they give him wine and they have sex with their father and then they make children. We love that. So I want to parlay that story to Judges 19. Judges 19. A very similar situation happens where there is a man and his concubine, not his wife, his concubine. They go to a place in Israel. They are traveling, they're tired for the night, and they need to rest. Same situation. A man says, please, don't sleep in the town square. Come to my house. I'll take care of you. They do. All of the people from the town, once again, come to the house to gang rape them. And he says, hey, please don't do this to this man. Take his concubine instead. Rape her. Manika, they rape her to death. The Bible talks about it actually creates a war. He literally takes her body, chops it into pieces, and sends it off to 12 tribes in Israel to be like, look what they did to my concubine. So I would like to go back in context and explain to me how that's about homosexuality and not about gang rape and horrible things each time. Each time when you look at it in context in the Bible, it's just people not understanding what's going on and taking the time. The Bible isn't a book. The Bible is a collection of codexes that were created from scrolls. This is not a cohesive book that was put together by God. These are sometimes oral traditions that were passed down for hundreds and hundreds of years and then finally written down by somebody who is hundreds of years removed. So it's like you have to look at what you're looking at and understand the message, which I don't believe is anti-homosexual. I do believe it could be anti-sexual aggression. It could possibly be a human, I could be misquoting. I think it's Jude. No, it's not Jude. There's a scripture in the Bible where it literally talks about the sin of Sodom, and it talks about how the sin of Sodom had to do with being hospitality. Basically, they call it hospitality. We're going to call it not raping your house guests or people who just come to your city just because they're there. Gang raping them. We hate them because they're outsiders. But that's what that's about. And so it's like, you can then transition, you can start talking about Paul, and you talk about Paul's condemnation. I was involved in this movie called 1946. 1946 is the first year where the word homosexual got added into the Bible. So before 1946, that word was never there. And that's a very short amount of time compared to the history of the Bible and compared to like what people think now about it and about. It talks about the explosion of the change in the culture and why that happened and a lot of background to that. But it also did a really good job of showing how that word got added and also showing how the people who added it literally changed their mind very shortly after that and wanted to take it out, and their Bible doesn't even have it anymore. They realized that they had made a mistake, but due to copyright and contracting and things like that, between 1946 and I feel like it was like the 1970s or 80s, the Bible stayed the same due to contracting. And then what people did was they made copies of that Bible. So like what people doing in English, because the Bible obviously you understand it was not written in English. You know, you're talking about Greek, Hebrew, and I don't believe we have written Aramaic. No, Greek and Hebrew are the languages that was written in. So these are people who are translating it. They put it together. The RSV, for example, the Revised Standard Version was put out, the 1946 version was put out, and then what you have is people creating the New Living Translation and the NIV translation based off of these guys' translations and just changing the words to make them more understandable to you and me. Like I'm telling you a story. Like we could read the Bible and I could pull it out and say, he said this and that. But it's easier if I explain to you what happened and it tells you a story. So that's what they're doing. They're taking that, and at the same time we have an explosion of culture. We have an explosion of things in America and all these kind of things that are happening where, again, I go back to like, sure, I get that you guys feel this way and your feelings are valid, but it's also a massive misinformation. Like just because Hitler was up there talking all the time about how bad the Jews were didn't actually make it true. It's just that what everybody thought. Mm-hmm. And that's how I feel about, I try to make that a really short answer.
No, that's
how I feel
very interesting. I've never actually ever heard that before. And then I'm going to go back now and like do my own reading, just kind of see the scriptures that you said. I would love you to, and I'd love to have a follow-up conversation with you about it after you read the scriptures. There's another one that a lot of people will use where St. Paul is writing, and it's translated as like this long list of people who won't inherit the kingdom. Mm-hmm. And it'll say like adulterers, I can't remember all of it. He's got a whole list, right? Yeah. And in your modern Bible, depending on which version you have, you might see homosexuals written there. And so then we go back to where that word came from, and we go back to why did we put this word here, and it goes to two Greek words, arsenokotai and malakotai. Arsenokotai is literally a word that Paul made up. It is not a real word. It's like me saying to you, today, Manika, I'm not leaving the house, I'm feeling really luminish. So you get that. But if I were to write that down, and even some people are going to listen to it, they're like, I don't know what they're talking about. What's luminish? Oh, it must mean they're feeling like really illuminated. Are they gonna meditate? Like, what does that mean? Mm-hmm. And so how we find out what things mean is we have to look at context. We have to look at where do we also find this word in the Bible, for example? Mm-hmm. One time. It's in the Bible one time. Mm-hmm. That time. So where do we also find it in culture? We know this is a word that Paul made up. So then we have malakotai, which is like abusers of, I think it's described as like abusers of man with themselves. Like it's like somebody who abuses, like abusing of yourself. It could be seen as like, there's this wonderful woman named Kathy Baldock who really does a great job of explaining it, but she's done a lot of research about the words and written all these books. She's actually one of the people who discovered, she went to Yale University and found the translation notes from the people who wrote the RSV Bible, and was able to find where there was a letter that was written in 1946 from one of the translator's students who said, hey, actually, you guys, this isn't the right translation. I think that this could be misunderstood and used as a sacred weapon. And he literally writes this in a letter in the 1940s, and then the translators write it back and they go, actually, David, I think you're right. We're going to change this, but unfortunately, like we can't do that right now because of the copyright and things. But when we come back to sit and the panel comes back together to do revisions again on what we've done, we're going to do that. And they did do that in the 70s, and like I said, removed it. But
that word malakotai, it can be like gamblers, people who drink too much, people who, you could over-exercise, people who are abusing, like you're just, you know how you go, and you're just like, the human brain, you can, abusing of yourself and mankind. And so like, there is a human condemnation of effeminate men that happens where we do have the effeminate, but we see that, unfortunately, I don't know, that's just a human thing. I don't know why effeminate men are so, I talked to somebody about this the other day, because I was like, bro, like, sorry, it's a tangent, but I have to tell you. We were having this conversation, and this man basically explained to me that he was going out with his friends, and they were gay bashing for a long time. They were just like, yeah, we would get in the car, and then go look for gay people, and just punch them in the face. And I said, okay, that's what y'all were doing. That sounds gay. It feels gay to me. Look at you. I was like, it feels gay. Let's go find gay guys and punch them. I was like, are you just trying to touch them? I was like, what's going on? But I said, also, I was at this point, I was like, also, how do you know they're gay? You're just punching effeminate men. Right. I said, I know guys that are effeminate, that if you met them, like, you'd be like, oh, that guy's gay. He's killing the pussy. Like, you don't understand. It's like, he's getting a lot of pussy that you're not getting. And, like, you're just out here punching soft dudes in the face. Or I should call them soft. If you're punching men who are more feminine in the face just because. So we do have also, in that, we see in human society, for some reason, a thing against effeminate men. But I also think that had to do with the war and kind of like that culture at the time where it's like, you better fight for us, and we got Rome, there's a lot of angry things going on, and you can't just be soft sitting up in the house. Like, you need to get out and help us. You're just going to be pampered and have pussy all day. Let's go. Get up out the house. But to say that is a condemnation against love and homosexual relationships and all these kinds of things in today's culture where we didn't even have that, like we don't even really have a lot of, for example, you have, like, again, you have Romans 1, this is another verse that's being used, where you have, this is the first time where you see women are used in this context, and where it's like, even women gave up their natural, what does Paul say, their natural desires for what was unnatural or something like that. Once again, a verse or two before that, we get, is it, in that, I turn my phone off because sometimes it rings anyway, so I can't pull it up. I feel like it could be a Shira. It's basically, it's idol worship again. It's the same thing that I was describing to you. What you have is temple prostitution. You have women who are temple prostitutes. They're being used, and they're using their bodies to fulfill some sort of ritualistic sexual means to an end. Maybe I'm not having babies and I want to have them, so I'm going to go do this sexual thing that's not at all like loving. It's just this act to appease the gods. And I feel like I would be condemning that. And also there's a big culture in Rome and Greece where you might have seen it depicted on like TV and things, where you have what I'm just going to call pedophilia. You have male pedophilia. I mean, these days the numbers they say is 1 in 6 in this country of men who have experienced child sexual abuse. But basically, for a man to come out and talk about that, I've heard a lot of men behind closed doors talk about it and say, yeah, I've experienced X, Y, and Z, and they're not that 1 in 6. And it's men in power taking boys and bringing them up into the Roman culture or Roman society, which was basically a power dynamic where you have somebody who's like a slave or like who really needs you economically, and they're having sex with you, and you're dominating them sexually. Again, I agree with Paul. We shouldn't be doing that. That's not what you should be doing. Yeah. So I feel like it's, there's this Bible verse that says, my people suffer from lack of knowledge. And I think it's a lack of understanding. It's a lack of understanding the text, and what you're looking at, and the culture, and the context of what you're looking at, and being told in the pulpit that this is God's word, it just like came down from heaven, this like perfect book of the Bible. It was like, that's not like life or like how anything works. And it's misunderstanding, honestly. Yeah. It just goes back to like, for me, I'm big into like having conversations about it, because I think that when you just, take a step back from like the politics and like attributing meaning to everything. Oh, what does it mean if I think this or if I feel that? And you just look at it and you let your spirit guide you. I think it's pretty simple to really realize that the Bible's not condemning homosexuality, or probably your modern understanding or your church or your religious sect is pulling things out of context, and they give you one Bible verse, no context. 2 Bible verses, no context. They throw them together and they go, see, God said here and here and here. Here's the numbers and here's the date, and this is where you can find it. And then you pull up your Bible, you pull up your little book, and you go, oh yeah, I pulled up the number and I pulled up the chapter and the verse, and that is what their thing out of context says. But you know what, we could do that for slavery. I could do that for telling you that those earrings in your ears and those braids in your hair are actually wrong according to your beliefs as a Jehovah's Witness, because Paul said it, and I believe that y'all follow Paul. Mm-hmm. So then where do we go with that?
Yeah, you're right. I do agree with that, and that's why it is very important for me, for myself, to do my own research, and that is a topic that I haven't researched, because to me, like you said, you look at the scripture and it's kind of clear cut from what it says, and so you don't look too much more into it. But I am interested to, and my dad, I'm gonna call him whenever I leave here, because he is like, I guess he considers himself like a Bible scholar. So I want to just see if he's ever, looked any deeper into that topic. Because we have people in our family who have those, and it's,
what's that? Oh, what's that? They have those. It's, what does that mean? What are those? Up in the sky. What are those? And it's,
I mean, it's a topic of conversation that we've had to discuss. So, and like those same scriptures.
Oh yeah, I see them. Yeah. See, it was really a big thing for me, because that's why I went to the army. Mm-hmm. I was told you need to come up with an action plan on where you're going to go, because you can't be gay and live here. Mm. And so I went to the military. Mm-hmm. That was my little plan. And I spent a lot of time thinking like God hated me and like that was wrong and all these kind of things. And then I don't know, like for me, I don't know if you've ever like experienced the Spirit speaking to you, or like this thing where you're just like, you hear this voice and you're like, I don't know why, for argument's sake, I have to go to the coffee machine. You just hear, go to the coffee machine, go to the coffee machine, go to the coffee machine. And then you get there and then like somebody is standing there and they say something lovely to you and you're like, oh, I guess that's why I had to go. Like whatever, like, that sort of a thing? Mm-hmm. Have you ever experienced that?
I feel like I haven't, because a lot of times I just attribute things to coincidence.
Oh no, Manika! Whoa! You're talking to the. Oh wow, that's so.
And
funny.
I know, so I can see like you really.
I'm the opposite of you. So much. That's hilarious. I love that. Whoa. Okay. Okay. Can you tell me? Okay. Wow. Okay. Can you attribute the following to coincidence? Can I tell you? If you allow me to tell you a little bit about my life, maybe the last 24 hours. Okay. All right. So I'm going to start by saying that I do believe in something called divine synchronicity. Does that mean anything to you when I say it?
I understand what that means.
You understand? Okay. So I did feel like it was Sunday. So I think on Sunday I've been editing a show, or I've been editing this show that I haven't posted yet. And some of them are long, and so like through the process, I was just getting discouraged. And I suppose like you kind of mentioned like when you were racing, you're like, I got to camp, and I was kind of like, and then you read the emails, and you're like, okay, all right, okay, I'll keep going, right? And so I was kind of discouraged. I was kind of at that point, and I was like, I do believe in God, a creator, infinite intelligence. I feel it's all the same thing, so like I don't really like to get too tied up with the labels and what you call it, but for me, I do believe, like, call upon me and I'll answer thee and I'll show you great and mighty things. And I just feel that way. And so I call upon God, and for me, what it looks like is, like, literally, like, talking to you, I'll be like, Jesus, like, you need to get this shit together. I don't like it. I'm not feeling this. My happiness is your responsibility. Psalms 23 says, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, and I want something right now, give it to me. That's how I feel. That's where I'm at each time. So that's how I felt, and I was kind of like really low, and I was kind of like, what's the point of this podcast thing? I don't think that like this is doing any good. Like maybe this is just me and like my ego or something, like I don't need to maybe do this at all. Like I got a lot of other stuff on my plate. I know this is a lot of time, whatever. And so then I went and I met the girl downstairs. I was actually literally, somebody invited me to a party at the pool. I was at the pool, just at home. And I met that girl, and she was pregnant, like I told you. I saw her, and just straight away in my spirit, I just had to tell her, just about some pregnancy things that just like really helped me, that were like not expensive, and they were just really changing. And, you know, it's like if you meet somebody who's an athlete and you go, hey, I see you're drinking this thing, try this other thing, this really helped me, and it's a small change, you know, that kind of thing. I just really wanted to help her. So we kind of got in this conversation. Like I said, we started talking about Alice and Felix, started talking about that. Then you came up. And then I knew that we were going to have this conversation. I was kind of thinking, oh, okay, well, you know, I'll text Monica. Like, I saw you the other day, and you were kind of like, yeah, we'll do it. And I thought maybe, I don't want to be like annoying her, you know, like whatever. And like I said to you, I was in this little like, I had to frame it with the context. I was kind of feeling like shit about the podcast or whatever, right? And so then I was like, whatever. And then I've been talking to these women. I've been noticing a theme. So you say coincidence. I noticed this theme where every time I turn around, I see or I meet Jessica. It's just been Jessica's, and like the podcast that I'm working on now, at this point I think it's like 5 Jessicas and a Jocelyn. This is where we're at, which is so many Jessicas, and I'm like, okay, what's this deal with Jessica? So I was on the internet, and I was looking for an artist that I had spoken to in a podcast, and I'm looking for her Instagram. And I know her name is Jessica, and that she does art. And so I was like, okay, it can't be that hard to find her, like Jessica artist Atlanta. And this other profile comes up. It's like Jessica, an artist in Atlanta, and I see the person's face, and straight away I knew who they are. I said, oh, that's crazy. They must like, I've seen them on the street, they're a disabled person, so they're like in a wheelchair, or not like a wheelchair, but like one of the, I don't know how you call those things, like
scooter or something?
The scooter, you know, thing. And I was like, you know, they're always like playing music, and they have like a positive sort of, you know, vibration. And I was like, oh, I know who this person is. And so like I sent them a message, and I was all like, oh my God, it's crazy. I was looking for one Jessica, and now I find another one. I just wanted to say like, hey, and like cool, or like whatever that you're doing, blah blah blah. So how can I explain this? The last time, I've only felt this way 2 times about the podcast, where I wanted to give up. The first time I felt that way, I went, let's take a step back. I went on a walk, I went to the cemetery, I came across the street, and I do believe a lot in also manifestation, and like calling out words, like saying like your words, like Joel 3:10, like let the weak say I'm strong, let the poor say I'm rich. I'm gonna say it. So I'm like if I'm a podcast, I like to do things right. I'm the most successful podcaster in the world. I'm a award-winning podcaster. That's why, right? So I had been like claiming that, like I said, this is months ago. So I had been claiming that and thinking that, and then I kind of got really low, and I was like, oh, this is stupid. I don't know, God. Like, you need to get it together and tell me about this podcast thing, because I'm not feeling this. I go for a walk. I go to Little Tart because I kind of just craved a chocolate croissant, and I get, basically, long story short, I meet an award-winning podcaster, and then I meet Malcolm Gladwell, the creator of Push Kid Industries, which is like the podcasting thing, and we end up having this conversation where he's talking to me about the podcast, and I tell him what it's about. He's like, "Oh, you're the perfect person for that job," and I said, "Oh wow, Jesus, okay." So that's my little Little Tart story. So then going back to Jessica, I messaged her, we had been messaging back and forth on Instagram, just kind of like, oh, hey, yeah, we have to meet up, And so then yesterday, after I texted you and you say, hey, we're going to meet, Jessica messages me and is like, oh, I'm at Little Tart. And I was like, of course you are. I says, I'm going to go across the street. I literally had just got off the treadmill. I said, I'm going to go across the street and I'm going to say hi to you. So, long story short, she ends up coming over here. We recorded a whole show. She was explaining to me, honestly, it's a little bit like the Jehovah's Witness thing. I woke up yesterday morning with one idea about disabled people and people who aren't able-bodied in America and what life was like for them. And I left yesterday understanding that these are actually people who are, they're treated, I think, could possibly be worse than brown-skinned people. They're not actually, they don't even have marriage equality. Jessica told me that I was really disheartened yesterday when I had to learn that, that like thinking about your liquid intake was like a big deal because we can't go to the bathroom too much. Because like, how will we do it? And like it's just like things that like I didn't know that, you know, like they're not able to earn more than $2,000 a month. And you knew that? Wow, you're like this is a lot of it's just a lot of things I didn't realize. And so I was kind of like, whoa, you know, I'm gonna like bring some information and some advocacy for that, and like kind of like talk about that and things like that. And then I says to her, you know, the only reason I found you is because I was looking for another Jessica who I'm now talking to later after you today. And I was just like, okay, so we have like a Jessica sandwich. I like it's just, for me, it's just like you would call that coincidence. I say like all of these little things that happen, and what I feel like is honestly like the God of the universe of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, like lining up everything perfectly. You would call that coincidence. You'd be like, oh, that just happened just because.
Probably so. That's probably how I would think of it. I might not piece together all of them together. Looking back, I might, but like at the outset, I probably wouldn't look at it in like, oh, like that's like my calling to continue, or like I wouldn't.
So like you go and you're having like a really hard race. Oof. Step back. Hang on. Should not mess my little spot up, y'all.
We recorded that in the computer lounge at the Lumen Grant Park, and then somebody started vacuuming in the hallway, which you guys could hear, of course, and so we moved. We did finish our conversation, and I'll play that for you guys another day. Today, I'm just going to end with
encouragement for you.
God is more than capable of healing you. What God has done for others, He will do for you and more. He's done it for me, so I know He will do it for you. I thought of you this morning, Manika, as I ran on the treadmill. Today is Tuesday, the 29th of April. It is 8:47 a.m. You are listening to Loving Kindness Every Day. I thought of you this morning, Manika, when I was on the treadmill. And I thought of all the people that I've been seeing lately who don't have able bodies. And I thought of my body and how it used to not be able. And I was running. And I hadn't been able to run for so long. I hadn't been able to walk for so long. I had just so much pain. And a cane I used to walk with. It was a really, really hard time. Very difficult. Soul crippling pain. And I called out to God, and it was only God who healed me, because I did all the things. I was considering a knee replacement. I did all the things. You know, but God, the divine Jehovah, some people might say the placebo effect, you know? Science shows that you can heal yourself. People without faith in God have healed themselves, believing in a sugar pill. So my belief in God, and I'll tell you guys my way, because this is what I did, is my belief in God, in Jesus, is what healed me. If you have enough belief in yourself, or in, I don't know, Buddha, I don't know, maybe it'll work for you. But I know that the universe, the Most High, because I do believe there is just one God, and we all have these different ways that we find one God. But I do believe that the Creator does not want you to be in pain, and that you were not created to live a life of pain. And so I do believe that your success is our success, Manika, and I love to see you succeed. And so I speak healing over you. I speak healing over your mind, over your body, over your finances, over everything that you need. God will supply every single need of yours and more. People will just come rushing to help you, to take care of you, and to see you doing really well. Ultramarathons, I can't even get my head around it. Girl, I don't want to say I can't run that long, because I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength, but also, oof. Listen. Psalms 95:3 says, "For God is great God, and the great king above all gods. The last one is a little g, those are little things. I think that's us. So we can make ourselves into gods. Psalms 82:6 says, and I say that ye are gods and children of the Most High. So there is a Most High, and then there are gods. The Most High God created all of us, and us as little gods, walking around in our own heads, doing our own thing, being God of our realities, right? So, maybe it's time for us to fully lean in. Isaiah 26:3 says, you will safeguard all those who fully lean on you. You will give them peace, because it's you that they trust. So I challenge you to do something different. I can't remember the scripture off the top of my head, but it's in the Gospels, and Jesus says, you haven't done this before. Ask the Father anything in my name, and I will give it to you. I think that's John 14:4. I have to look that up. Hang on, y'all. Anyway, let me keep going. All I'm going to say is, God will give it to you. And I know you haven't tried it before. Not with all your heart, not with all your might. Because you wouldn't be in pain if you did. No, it's not John 14:4. Although I will tell you guys what I have highlighted on that page. Which is John 13. The end of verse 34, going to 35, which says, as I have loved you, so you must love one another. By this everyone will know that you are my disciples if you love one another. And John chapter 15, verse 9, commands us to remain in love. Jesus is talking. Verse 12 says, my command is this, love each other as I have loved you. Let's just love each other. If we can do that, I know. It sounds sappy, and it's probably not a message that everybody likes to love each other, whatever, I know. But look, what if you did? What if you just chose to be kind to yourself and to your mind, and treat your mind kindly, and then allow that kindness to overflow from inside of you out to others? What if you just stopped all the negative self-talk? You stopped condemning yourself and your choices and your decisions, and you accepted them, and you said, yeah, here I am today. This is the place where I found myself, and this is the best that I could have done, and this is where I'm at. And I'm okay with that. I tried. Sure, sometimes I didn't try as hard, and sometimes maybe I messed up. But you know what? Here I am. And today's a new day, and I can do something different. We all as humans have that option, that choice, that freedom. Even if you're in prison, you have that choice, that freedom. You can do different every day, any day. So maybe collectively, you and me and Manika Gamble and all of us, we can choose to fully lean in and to accept the peace and the protection and the pain-free living and the debt-free living and the magnificent ease that's promised to us when we decide to let go. I'm talking to myself, I know, and I'm talking to you guys too. I'm talking to all of us, me included. I'm not disclowning myself. I need to lean in. You need to lean in, we all do. We can just choose to do it together. That's what we're here for, right? Community, conversation, and connection. Thank you guys for listening. If this encouraged you in any way, I would like for you to go to kindnesscalloway.com and find a way to give back. Give back to yourself by maybe reading some blogs and having some mindful moments. You can give back to yourself and others by shopping our store and getting yourself a great deal on something cool. Or you could just choose to give and watch God bless you amazingly by sending a donation.
You can find all that information on our website. You can share some of our podcasts. We have some deep discussions about a variety of things, including healing from trauma and just collective healing of our community. But I promise you won't be bored, and I'm going to walk by faith and promise that you're going to be encouraged, because that was my intention and my goal and the reason I do this. So thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for connecting. Thank you for donating. Thank you for shopping Loving Kindness every day. Thank you. Thank you. I'm very grateful for you guys. I love you guys, and I appreciate you. Preview for next time. I think I might play that conversation from Miami. We'll see.
Like in my own father's church, and he's a whole, you know what I'm saying? Like to where I didn't understand. I was falling asleep. My grandma pinching me, like I gotta get up, like. And I was praise dancing, like I'm on the internet, like you can Google me right now. I'm on the internet, like praising the Lord, like I mind. And I get to this church and I fall more in love with Jesus than I ever have in my whole entire life. So it's like I'm.
Oh wow, I love that.
Oh yeah, it's weird, but it's, and I haven't even expressed it to her because I didn't understand that until today, and I broke down and I was like, you know, trying to like fix my lip gloss and like be pretty, and Pastor was like, no, like you're worried about the wrong things, like, you know, you're so worried about your image, like as given, and she was like touching me, and it was just like,
yeah, I'm supposed to go to touching you, talking to you.
Oh yeah, she was like, I've been waiting on you, you ain't came to me, and I'm just like, it's just different for me, and I don't even, like I'm in a place where I don't even know how to explain it. It's so weird because I can't even explain it to my dad without him being, not knowing if he's gonna be judgmental, because you know, him thinking that I was going through a phase and trying to send me to a camp because I was gay, like it was more so like, oh yeah, he tried to send me off saying something was wrong with me. So it's like me trying to, and I've been going to church and been telling him I'm going to church, but he's not really knowing. It's just a lot. So like a lot hit me today, and I haven't even got to express it to Tati. So to express it to you, like church ain't hit me no more than it hit me today. Like it was, and then to fight with my child's father after, like it's just a lot, and it's weird, and I don't know how to. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't even. Where's my cigarettes?
Ooh, all right, hang on now. I want to.
That's it.